Let me just do a quick sound check, make sure it's coming through all right. Test, test. Test, test. That seems to work. Alright, hopefully it's loud enough. For some reason my headset microphone's not working too well today, but we'll use the podcaster mic. And today we're going to be looking at returning to some clean architecture fixes that we were doing a few weeks ago. I'm almost done with my Pluralsight course, so I'm going to squeeze in time to do this stream and try and wrap this up. And then we'll probably have time to look at a couple other packages. If we go out to my Ardalis GitHub here and look at some of these repositories, I have a few of them that need some updates. API endpoints is another one, smart enum is another one, I think guard clauses here is another one. So basically the pinned ones that are on the main page all have stuff I need to do with these ones here. So I'm going to see what I can do to get those all up to date. Probably won't get to all of them today, but let's give it a shot. So let's start with clean architecture. Don't have a Visual Studio open for that just yet, so let me go grab that. Nope, that ain't it. There it is. And as a quick review, if you haven't played around with this, if you go out to Ardalis on github.com/Ardalis, go to clean architecture. And what this is meant to be is a solution template. So the idea is you can install this template here in Visual Studio, install the template, and then when you say file new project, you can pick clean architecture and it will create your project with actually multiple projects, not just a single project like most of these other templates, and they'll be structured the way they should be if you want to follow clean architecture. Unfortunately, that one is a little bit out of date, and I'm not the one that created it, so I don't typically update it. I'll have to let someone know to maybe update that. That would be Greg Rebellic. I'll have to follow up with Greg and say, hey, maybe we should update this. But I have created a template that you can use with .NET New. And it is also out of date because I was waiting on finishing this one set of features that we're working on today. But as soon as that's done, I'm going to try and get that updated as well. So that's out on GitHub. Just probably add a link to it here, maybe. I guess we just have to type it. So it's, sorry, not on GitHub, it's out on Nuget. So if you go to nuget.org and we search for, I guess, Ardalis clean architecture maybe, it's right there. Look at that. And so let's do add a link to this so I don't have to ever do that search again. So we'll just come in here and it says, hey, go find, where is it? Install this thing from Nuget, right? Let's just say where that is. It's right there. And now let's turn that into a link. Actually, let's turn the whole from Nuget into a link. Boom. All right, good enough for now. Commit that. And we're making progress. Look, now you can get to that link. All right. Here's our solution. Let's just make that full screen. And see who's going to join us today on the chat. First thing I want to do is run the tests. And this is actually still in a separate branch, this project aggregate branch. I can't remember if I merged that in, so let me verify if that's merged or not. I might have done that last time. So pull request, no. Let's see, do I still have that branch? Stale, active, it's not listed. That makes me think I merged it. My branches, they're all my branches. Merge branch master into the, I don't know if I did. All right, well, let's make sure that we're totally synced up. See output window for details. This thing, well, shoot. I don't want to accidentally start working on this thing when I don't need to. So let's just view the history. My commits here, and autofac, creating things, add a project and reorg solutions. Okay, that's what I just did. That was 13 days ago. All right, so I'm gonna go back to the main default branch here. So let's get out of this. Let's go, I guess, fetch. And I want to go to the main branch. So this one still shows master, but I want to go to main. So how do I check out a branch here? Guess I have to do this. Remotes, main, check out. I'm used to using the command line. All right, there we go. So now we should be all set. So let's come back to Solution Explorer and let's see what we want to do here. Basically, there's another issue that we still haven't fixed yet out here that's talking about this I2Do-Item search service. And it says, hey, you've got this I2Do-Item search service and an implementation, but nothing uses it. And last month, I said, hey, I'm going to fix that and, you know, put in some refactoring and make a call to it. And 13 days ago, I said, I've almost got it, but it's not there yet. So that's what we're doing today. All right. So let's take a look at that I2Do-Item search service. We might change it a little bit. Maybe make it a project search service, but let's think about that. So these are a couple async methods that will search for incomplete items and either get the next one in a given project or get all of them in a given project. That seems reasonable. And then we have an implementation of that somewhere in this service here. And it says, go get a repository and get all the incomplete items for that project. And how are we doing that? We are using a project by ID with items specification, and separately, that gets us the whole project. And then separately, an incomplete item specification that we use to evaluate the items that we already have. So the thing about this evaluate method on a spec is you can actually pass in an arbitrary list, and then it will, you know, just return back to you that filtered list. I just had a question today on one of my Pluralsight courses about what design pattern should I use for a filter. And so this is an example of how you can use specification as a filter. And let's see, when I evaluate that, I get back at IEnumerable. I'm not sure I need to to-list it, but that's fine. So this becomes a list of items. It could have just been an IEnumerable, which probably would have worked, but it's okay, it passes. All right, it would be great if we logged some details here, but we can skip that. Down here, we're gonna go say, get the next incomplete item, and that's just gonna say, go get this project, use the specification to identify the thing. If there aren't any, we're gonna say it's not found, otherwise we're gonna get the first one. So we've got some unit tests, I think, according to that Git issue that said that we have unit tests, and they are, where? I don't know. I guess we've got unit tests for the specification, but not necessarily for the service. So maybe we should write some unit tests for the service. We'll think about that in a minute. But in the meantime, let's provide a way to call these things. So one way that we could call this search service would be through the API endpoint that we expose, and it's probably the easiest one to implement. So let's look at that. So in our endpoints for a project, we have all these different ways to create or list things. Let's do a list incomplete and call this to start. Okay, so we'll just take a list and we'll copy paste it, and we'll call it list incomplete. And it has a response, list incomplete dot, we're going to call this list incomplete response, I guess. And we'll take that name. And it's not really returning a list of projects, right? It's going to be its own thing, so we'll get rid of that. And let's give the name here. All right. Code stencil. It says my mic is really low. All right, let's crank that up. How's that? Is that better? How's that? I did a mic check when I started, and it sounded a little low to me too, but I figured maybe my volume was down, not my mic was down. So hopefully this is a little better. Thanks for letting me know. Still low. Still low. All right, well, let's address that. So pre-roll sets levels for me. Twitch should have a control for consistency. They really should, I agree. Let's look at my properties. Okay, that's not gonna help. Let's go find my sound mixer. Volume mixer, does that do? It only does volume, it doesn't do microphone. Okay, where do I go to find this? So I'm in, OBS here, right? I've got the mic cranked up to the max as much as I can. I'm using, if we go to properties here, I'm using the Rode Podcaster, which is this thing right beside me. And what else can I do here? I can go advanced. That shouldn't be affecting anything. Can I crank this up? Does this help any? I wonder. I don't know if that helps. I don't see anything else there. Are you on a boom? It's over your head. No, I'm not using this. This is the headset mic. I'm using this right here, which is the Rode Podcaster mic, and it's like right here, so it ought to be better. So, all right. So you're saying that the boost I just did was helping. So let's try that again. We'll do some more on that. Crank this up. Like 4 decibels is a huge amount. This should be blasting now. Super tight hot spot. Yeah. All right. I'm gonna play on mine. It's all right. That's not terrible. Okay, so hopefully that's audible at least, and you're not having to crank up your volume too much now. Apologies. I had to change out mics because the headset mic, which I usually use, which is usually fine, was having issues today. So it's always something. Nothing but the best quality on this stream. All right, so where were we? We're trying to create a response for list incomplete. It's going to list the incomplete tasks on a project. Let's go ahead and run this because we haven't run it today. Show folks what it looks like. We can't run it because we copy pasted, and we need to give this thing a better name, like list incomplete. All right, let me get another browser instance going here that hopefully this will run to. See if that lets us run. Boom. All right, so here's our app. And we're doing API stuff right now, right? We just added a new API endpoint. So if we go to the API docs, it too will blow up. And that is because I probably still have more copy paste problems, right? Which I know I do. So give me 1 sec. Let's fix those. So we can't give it the same operation ID here. We can't give it the same route here. Let's say projects whack incomplete items. We really need a project ID too. So this should be projects whack, let's say project ID whack incomplete items. Yeah, that works. Gets a list of a project's incomplete items, and these two get displayed in 2 different places in Swagger, but they can be pretty close to one another. We haven't actually done this part yet, but we will. So I need to take in this project ID here somewhere. But that should let us at least run Swagger. H3 Tech says you're off axis on the mic. Point it to your chin like a gun to the face. Cardioid pattern mics are like that. Well, I can turn and talk into it, and that helps a little bit. But this thing picks up everything, so it's not usually a problem. Let me do one other thing that might sometimes fix it, which is change the mic's gain in another program. So we'll open up our Audacity here, and we'll have the audacity to turn that mic up. And that takes it from 0.8 to 1.0, which maybe helps. You would think OBS would let me change that. Ha! All right. Good. Now hopefully it's not too loud. All right, so here's the trick, right? Here's this thing that's really stupid. There's no easy way in Windows for me to find this setting. But I can open up open source Audacity here, and I can go change the Rode Podcaster. This is what I just moved. Usually when I'm recording for Pluralsight, I keep it at 0.8 because otherwise it picks up every little squeak and bird and car on the street, like within a 5-mile radius. And so I turn it down a little bit. And then when I use it in other apps, it keeps this setting because it's a setting on the device, but it's really hard to find that anywhere in just straight up Windows. So it's easier for me to go here and change it than anywhere else. It's really dumb. Silly porridge is like being blasted. All right, so probably I should undo the OBS change I made that was boosting it. So let me do that. Just, you guys are gonna be tweaking your volume the whole episode. I'm sorry. Let's go in here and let's just reset this back to 0. All right, so now test 1 2 3, test 1 2 3. Is this okay? Still good. All right, cool. Yay. Sorry, I'm an idiot when it comes to the audio stuff. It's too many moving parts, right? I'm using the same box for streaming and for Pluralsight recording and for various other things, and I can get them each to work one at a time, but getting them all to work all at the same time is a challenge. All right, so let's see if this works now. I'm just going to run it. I'm going to pull back this and show Swagger. And woo, look, it works. All right, so here's our endpoint. It doesn't actually work yet, right? But this is what we're going to try and wire up. So let's go back to our code. And what do we need to do here? We just need to wire up that service that we're trying to call. So instead of having this endpoint work with a repository directly, we have this to-do item search service. It implements this to-do item search service. Does everything we need. It just needs a project ID and a search string. That's interesting. Which is required. So I need to also ask for a search string. I guess I need to put that in the query string, I guess. So we'll put that in a request object. So we'll come down here and we'll say, all right, well, let's have a public class list incomplete request. Right, and this is how I like to build my API endpoints now, because it's really easy. You've got a request, you've got an endpoint, you got a response. It's REPR, which is Reaper, and it's basically use the Reaper pattern instead of the MVC pattern. Do you know Ear Trumpet, says Jeeper978. I do not. What is Ear Trumpet? Is that some cool app that'll make it so I can test my sound setup without having to use you all as my guinea pigs? Because that would probably be helpful. To you, at least. All right, so I moved this thing to its own class. And you can see in this endpoints folder, these are all my endpoints. But then this request is just kind of hanging out there next to everything. So here's the trick to make this work with the nesting that I'm using. Just prefix it with the endpoint it goes with. And now it's chained under there, right? So when you want to work on list incomplete, everything you need is right here. You want to work on create, everything you need is right there, right? So it's a nice way to organize it. And now for this request, we just said that we need the project ID. So we'll say public int project ID. And we also, it turns out, we need a search string because apparently I implemented that on this search thing, which makes sense because it's a search service. So we'll call this search string. That's fine. Okay, and that's that. Now we need to make this thing come from the query string, at least at least this part. So from query would be good. I think pull that in. And I think this has to be from route, if I remember right. There's sometimes a trick to get this to work right, but we'll see how close we get on the first try. So now what I want is this project ID to get set from route, and the other thing to be set from query, and for Swagger to figure that out appropriately. Next, we're going to take that service, which I had copied the interface for, but I'm sure I've since copy-pasted something else. So let's copy that again. Come in here, replace this thing in our constructor with this. We'll call it a search service. We'll set that to, we'll pull in its interface, its using statement, and we'll set that to a field. And we'll get rid of the repo that we no longer need. And that's that. All right, so this all looks good. We're going to create a response, and then we're going to call our service. Var result equals search service dot. And we've got a couple methods here. We want to get the all incompleted items async, which takes in a project ID. So that is going to be our request. And this doesn't have a request, so we need to say with request of project. No, what is it called? List incomplete request. One of those. And this is going to be a list incomplete response. Now we're no longer implementing this interface because, or this abstract base class, because our handle method doesn't match those types. So our response needs to match. So list incomplete response goes here. And over here we need the incomplete request. It's an advanced volume control app. All right, I'll make a note to look for that ear trumpet. Right, so we need to call that. Now I needed the request because I want to be able to say request.project ID, and then the search string, which will be request.search string. And that result that we're going to get back is going to be a task. Okay, that's not helpful. So we're going to wait on that. And yeah, the does say async, so that's good. So what we're actually going to get is a result, which is a little bit better. And we would like that result to turn into a response. I haven't actually tried wiring this up with a result like this, I don't think. So I'll have to think about that. So let's look at that search service one more time. So in here, when we use a result, what we get, and result is just another Nuget package that you can use. So if the search string is empty, then I'm going to create a list of errors, and I'm going to have an error that says the search string is required, and then I'm going to return this result. And it's going to be .invalid, and it's going to have these errors. So in my endpoint, what I could do is I could check the result type, and here I could say something like if result dot is success, then return the response or whatever, and otherwise, return a failure or what have you. But the way the result thing is supposed to work is I can just use a filter to automatically translate that. So let me go look up how to do that real quick, because I have it documented. Result here, and there's a sample, and in the sample you can say sample web. I even have an API endpoint, I think. Let's see, that's a page. Where's the API? Mediator API. That'll work. So in here I have this filter. I can say translate result to action result, but this doesn't use the interface that I have on an ASP endpoint. So I don't think I want that. I think I want the helper, and the helper usage is somewhere else. It's also in the web, but it's in this feature, I think. Maybe it's the forecast endpoint. Hey, look, it's an endpoint. And for this, we just say to action result to get the thing. So we wrap the call in this .to action result. What is this? This is an endpoint, but it's also a controller, and that's what this thing works with. So let me verify that I can do that. So instead of saying return OK response, we would say return this dot to action result, and doesn't have any idea what that is. All right, so that means probably I don't have the result package here, which I don't. So let's install that, and I have to think about how the response type that I'm creating maps to that, because the value that this thing is returning is not the thing I want to actually return. So this is more of a design problem than I'd expected. Thanks for the follow, Focadonis, and earlier Kitty Carloso. I appreciate it. All right, so let me explain what the issue here is. So when you use the endpoint pattern, which we're using here, like let's look at this create endpoint for a second. You basically define, like I was talking about, a request and a response. And the endpoint's job is just to take in a request and return back a response. It's very simple. And so it looks like this, right? You get in this request, you do some work. In this case, we go add this thing to the repository, and it goes and saves it. And then you create a response, and you return the response. Like, that's it. That's the whole tweet. But in the case of calling out to this other service, I'm using a different abstraction. So in this service, I'm using this result of t. And what the result of t does is it lets me bake into the response from that service additional metadata for when it might fail. So how might a service fail? Well, it might have a validation error. Like it might say, hey, you didn't give me a search string that I need. So I'm going to present you with this list of validation errors. I'm going to return an invalid result. Or it might be that you went to find something with this search, but you didn't find anything. And so it might return a not found result in that case. I don't think I have one of those here. But you also might just have some type of error, right? So here's a try catch. When we get an error, we're going to say, hey, here's a result dot error with the error baked into it. Hey, Fadi, how's it going? And so the question here is, how do I take this result abstraction that I can easily translate into a response, like you see here, right? I can just turn whatever it returns back to me, I can spit out as an action result. But I want to map it to the exact response that I'm saying my endpoint returns, right? Because this response that's coming back from the service is actually, in this case, it's defined in my domain layer, right? It's defined in here in this core project, which is where my domain model is. And it's returning a list of to-do item. Well, I don't want to return a list of to-do item over my API anyway. I want to return some kind of view model or API model or DTO. And so I need a way to map that as part of what the result thing is doing. And I don't think I have that right now. So right now I'm just going to manually work on that, I think. So what we'll do is we'll say if result is successful, then we're going to map it to the response, right? So we can say, we already have the response up here. Let's just move that because I only need that if it's successful. So we'll just drop that in here. And so we're not going to use my spiffy result filter or helper method, but we'll just take that result. If it's successful, we're going to use its stuff to build out this response. So what does a response have? Well, the response so far has nothing because we haven't finished writing it yet. But what should it have? Well, I think it should have the project ID, perhaps. So we'll say public int project ID, and it should have a list of items. And what is an item? It's going to be a to-do item record, right? And the item looks like this. So it's going to have a list of to-do item records that are incomplete. So on the response, there will be a public list of to-do item record, incomplete items, like that, all right? And so back in my list incomplete service here, I just need to create that thing. So project, nope, it's not a project list response anymore. It's a list incomplete items response, and it has a project ID equal to request.project ID. And then it has that list of items, which I think I'll just add separately, which I can just do a... Can I do it all here? I can probably do it all here. So incomplete items equal new list of record, new list of to do item record, which will be populated with what is it? Result dot value dot items. No. The value of this is what? List of to-do item, right? So I just need to map from a list of to-do item to a list of to-do item record. Which is pretty much the same thing. Like that. Alright. Can't believe it's Friday already, but Steve's streaming. Occasionally I'm streaming on Fridays. I've been busy lately. Does this actually work? Did I get it right on the first try? It looks right. I don't like how the line wrapping is working on this, but it's fine, I guess. Not sure I like this any better. It's really long, but at least you can see it now. Alright, so then we get rid of that. And if it's not successful, what do we want to do? Well, I'd like to return a different response. So let's just take this and drop it into is successful. And then if it's not successful, we really could do that extension method. So that would work. Because this lets me on success map it to the special response I want to use, but if it's not successful, I can just return the mapper. The extension method on the result. So that was this thing, return this .toAction result. And I just need to find the right package to do that. So return this .toAction result of result, like that, and that is in Ardalis.result, but you can't find it. Oh, there it is. No, you're not helping. You're offering to create the method. All right, let me manage Nuget packages for the web. Actually, that's not what I want. Why is this so slow? Sheesh. Let's do it for the solution just in case, because I want to make sure I keep everything consistent. Alright, and installed. I already have result installed somewhere. I just want to also install it. There it is. I want to also install it for web. So there we go. And it still doesn't like that, but let's see if we can find... Nope. Alright, what did I screw up? Where are you? Ardalis result. Do I need that? I think I need that. I think that's a separate package. Let me just see. Sample, web, CS proj, ASP.NET Core. There it is. I need that. Probably with a different version. So here, and it makes sense that this would be the only place I would use that. Right, and let's hope that those version matches. Find out. Can we build? Okay, so it managed to download it, I think, which means that it still doesn't know what it's doing. I want that using statement to be somewhere in here. Oh, that didn't work. Try that again. Alright, so it doesn't like that. So let's manage those packages once more. And is it going to show up as installed since it doesn't actually exist? I think that version doesn't exist. Result. Not available in this source. Well, what is the latest version that's available? .301. So maybe I need to update this thing. Well, let's see. Hopefully 301 works with 311. We'll find out. Unable to find package Ardalis result ASP.NET Core with version greater than 311. Yeah, that's because it doesn't exist. Why are you telling me that? Do I have to bounce this one down? Is that the problem? I think it must be. Because when I look at this, and I look at that, there, it says it depends on Ardalis result, any Ardalis result greater than or equal to 3. So 311 is greater than or equal to 3. That should work. But it's not liking it, so maybe we just make them match. Maybe today we also work on Ardalis.result. So 301, everywhere 301, let's do that. So we'll come up here, manage, Ardalis.result, make them all 301. Just to see if that works. Detected downgrade. Yeah, I know, I'm trying to downgrade it. Package restore fail. Just do it. Why are you so useless, Visual Studio? Those are all just tests too. Why are the tests failing? The test shouldn't care about Ardalis.result, whatever version. This makes no sense to me. Can't find Ardalis result ASP.NET Core in cleanarchitecture.unitest, which is not actually using that at all. Did I screw something up in the manage Nuget thing? Did I say? Oh, I did. At some point, somebody told it to install Ardalis.result. I'm not sure why. I don't know if I'm using it there. I don't see it here. Am I blind? Where's Ardalis? Oh, it's right there at the top. I am blind. I don't think I need that. RuneSun, same thing on a set of packages right now. I'm somewhat settled down by the fact that you're having the same problem with my own packages. You don't have all your projects. I saw that. Thank you. That gave me pause as well. Why did I not check all the boxes here? Because I was trying to make them all be the same, but Unitest I just got rid of. So install, we could say uninstall all the things. That would be fine. It'd be really nice if you kept this dialog open because I'm about to try and install the right one. But you didn't, so now I have to go search for it. I'm going to mess with this and then I'm going to immediately turn around and publish an update for that Ardalis result ASP.NET Core package 2311, just so I can get them back in sync. Yeah, thank you, Justin. Right, so here's 311, which I don't want. I want 301 for now, because I'm hoping that that one matches. And well, let's do that. Installing. All right. Cannot implicitly, yeah, okay, so we should be able to fix this now if I can get my extension method to work. Still doesn't want to work. There it is. You take in a result, which is what, is this not a result? It's a result of t. Okay. Done. That's literally what I had. Why is that not working? Cannot convert MVC action result to MVC action result of the other type. That's why. Alright, so I can't still do this. Darn it. Alright, so the issue is that it's not just an action result, it's an action result of response. So yeah, so I'm hosed on it. So let's just see if this part works. Anyway, what is this problem? Result dot. Did I really not have this in the older version, 301? Alright, I guess I didn't have the success thing before. Alright, now this thing's not happy because not everything returns. So let's create the response the way we had it before. Pull this out, throw it up here. New response, it's just an empty response. And then instead of instantiating it down here, we'll just say response dot project ID equals that. And response dot incomplete items equals that. Done. Don't need that. Okay, now either way, no matter what, return OK response. Which is not correct because sometimes it's going to have errors, but we'll sort that out. Yeah, 301 doesn't contain a success. It's okay, we're going to upgrade it. I need to just update the ASP.NET Core 1 to 311 is the problem. Alright, so we'll go back to Swagger and see if we can test this thing out. There we are. Go into Swagger. Try our, let's see our list of projects. Right, because we should have some sample data in here. Project 1, that's great. We have a project. Let's go get our details about Project 1. Try it out. Project 1, execute. There it is. It's got 3 things. They're all done, so none of them are incomplete. Which is not great because I don't have an easy way to modify them. But I could add another thing, can't I? I can create a new project. How do I create a new item? Did I do that? I don't think I did that. Project, post, blah, blah. I don't have a way to create new items. So I can complete them, but I can't do anything else. That is sad. I have to figure out a way to add a new item. Otherwise our search is never going to return anything. But let's just run it anyway. So it's going to return nothing at best. Alright, so this is going to say, hey, here's my project ID, but then there's this weird request body because it doesn't understand when I said from route and from query, and I put them both in the same request type, it got a little confused. And there's some issues on API endpoints repo about fixing this. So I don't know which one of these will win, right? Like if I decide that this thing is a 2 and this one up here is a 1, what's that going to do? And then I don't know, let's try project as a search term. We'll execute. And this says get the incomplete items with this data, which I think got passed in the body, which it did. And it says, hey, you can't have a body because you're doing a GET request. So that's what I would expect, which is unfortunate because what I really need is here to say from query, I'm pretty sure. And then maybe the from route that's inside that object will override it. Let's find out. So close the web server down and run it again. And hit this once more time. Go hit our thing here, try it out. Now this looks a lot better. It no longer thinks that it's got a body. And the reason why it did before is because if you don't tell ASP.NET MVC what type of thing this is, like whether it's from query or from body or from route, it will assume that if it's not a primitive type, that it must be coming from the body. That's how the model binding works here. So because this is not a primitive type, it's going to assume from body unless we tell it otherwise. So we tell it from query so that it knows it's not from body. And then once it actually goes in here and looks at these, hopefully it's going to see that that comes from the route. And that should be good. I'm not sure it's going to have a route like I want it to, though. It should, though. It sees it right there. So let's see. I don't know. Try this. Try that. Execute. Do we get a 200? 500 internal server error. Attempting to activate project list complete. Blah blah blah. Unable to resolve service for I to do item search. Yeah. Okay. Well, that makes sense. We've never had to use it before. So let's go wire that up. We're going to come in here. Go to our services, and this is in the core, so it should be easy enough to wire up. But I have an infrastructure module for infrastructure stuff. I don't have any wire up for core. Wickens is pointing out to me that it works because in Swagger it says path below project ID. So right here, this is where it's clarifying that it knows that that's going to come from the route, or what it calls the path, and that this one will come from the query. And we can see in the URL that it actually generated here that our project ID is right there inside the route, and then our query string has the search string. So that all worked, so that's cool. Thanks, Wickens. All right, but in here now, I need to wire that up. If I wanted to do it consistently, what I would do is I would go into shared infrastructure. I would take this infrastructure module, which is an autofac module, and I would put it up in core because the query, the to-do item search service, rather, is a core type. And so this is the first time I'm using a core type, so I should have a module for that. That kind of feels like overkill, but this is meant to be a template for how you would build stuff yourself. So let's do it that way. Let's see what that feels like. Because if you were doing this yourself, you would have a lot of services in here, and it would be nice to have a single place to put those all. So default core module with a T, and then this becomes core, and this infrastructure stuff goes away. And let's see, I don't care about most of this stuff. Default core module. I guess register common dependencies. Is that what that's really all I need. I just need register I just need load. So this takes the builder, and all I want to do is say builder.register that. I want one of those, and I want to put it right here. And all this other crap goes away. So I don't need that, and I don't need this thing at all, or that thing, or that thing. So that all goes away. And this just becomes, I need autofac, I need to install it. So hopefully it's the right version. Then we need the assembly. So I don't need as dependent. I really don't need a list of assemblies either. This only gets used in one place. So assemblies that add core assembly, that's the only one I need. So I don't need that. Or that. Or that. Or that. Add to the assemblies. No longer need that. I don't see why I need that either. Hey everybody, SMCal 2009, nice to have you here. Yeah, so default core module really doesn't need much. If it gets the calling assembly, we'll add it, that's fine. My assemblies can just be right here, var assemblies equals new list assembly. Alright, that's all I need. Trying to make this as simple as possible. Alright, so there's all my assemblies. And then what do I do with them? I register them. So it's going to scan those assemblies. How does it do that? Let me go check where I started here. I want to make sure I didn't screw it up. Glad to be here. I am glad to be here too. Alright, so in here, I get this private read-only list of assemblies, which I add to here, but then do I ever use those somewhere else? I must use them somewhere else. They are used with Mediator. I see. I'm not using Mediator here, so I don't need those assemblies for anything. So it's default core module or just got even simpler. Doesn't need that. Doesn't need any of this at all. Really just needs to say, hey, to do item search service should be registered as to do item search service. No. Register that as that. Alright, what did I screw up? To do item search service, that's right. There we go. Alright, and that gets rid of a whole lot of using statements, and we're good. Do I even need this? I don't know what that does for me. What else would a module be, if not an autofact module? So that's fine, get rid of that too. Alright, that's about as clean as we can get. Now we need this to work, which means startup needs to know about it. So down here, back in startup, there's this configure container, and we register the modules that we have. And so we had just the infrastructure one. Let's add also the core one. So this will be a new default core module with nothing, like that. And if I got my namespace right, that should work. Okay, so if all that worked, then this should run. And it runs, and we'll go hit this thing again, and we'll just execute. And we get a 200 OK, and we get project ID 1 with no incomplete items. All right, so that is good. Now the next trick is to reset my database. So I gotta delete my SQL DB that I'm using. And this just uses SQLite by default, if I remember right. So if I come in here and we go find our database that we're talking to, which is local DB. Oh, I thought I had SQLite. There's database SQLite right there. I guess I'm not using that. All right, so no, that says SQLite. Oh, it's SQLite connection. Which one am I using? Startup should tell me. Connection string, SQLite connection. All right, that's good. And we got a DB count, so we are using SQLite. So where is my SQLite database? Is it in fact that one, or is it one in the bin folder? What did I call it? Database.SQLite. All right, so database, it's not there. So maybe it is this one. Delete it. Okay, let's try running it again. I think it creates it when it's not there. So there we go. Let's hit this and go find a get project ID with try it out, project ID 1, execute, and look at that. Now we've got IDs 1, 2, 3. They're all not done. So that's false. That's good. And if I want to search for incomplete items, is there a search string I can use that's common to these? There's not really. So I guess I could search for run let's try that. So we'll come down here and we'll search for run. And we get back everything, which is not what I expected. I mean, they are all incomplete items, but you would think the search would do something. So this is why we write tests. If we come back to the actual service, so I don't need to show those things anymore. We'll go in here and find out to do item search service. It's very careful to make sure the search string is not null or empty. And then it says, go get that project. And then it says, get this incomplete specification and evaluate these things based on whether they're complete, and then return them. So it doesn't actually do anything with that search term. So I can either say, you know, to do, actually do a search thing, or I could add a different specification perhaps that takes it. Let's try that. So let's add another specification, incomplete item spec. Let's create an incomplete item search, or incomplete, yeah, that sounds good, incomplete item search spec. So just copy this, incomplete items search. And we'll say string, search string, where item is not done, and item dot what? Name, title, dot contains search string, or item dot description dot contains search string, something like that. There we go. All right, that should work, and we'll just bring this out to its own type. Incomplete item search spec is really what we want here. And now that we've evaluated that we definitely have a search string, we can pass that in there. And other than that, we shouldn't have to change anything else, right? So that's the nice thing about this. So let's try it. We'll build this thing and run it. And get rid of this, and this, and this, and come back here. It's still searching for run. Let's execute it. And it works. We get run. And it says, now we're searching both the description and the thing. Let's just search for like a single letter, like the letter E. That should be everywhere, right? So there it is. So we get everything back if we just search for the letter E. What happens when we don't search for anything? Search for nothing at all, we execute, and we get back project ID 0, incomplete items null. Now we know why we get that. That's because I just said return an empty response in the endpoint. Which I could say is by design, but that's not awesome. So the trick we need to do now is say, okay, well, if the status is something else, return a different type of a response. And how would can I return a different? I can. So I could then say, else if result.status equal Ardalis dot result dot status result status dot error. It's not really error, is it? Yeah, it should be an error. No. It's a validation thing, right? Invalid. There we go. Then return bad request result dot validation errors, like that. Does that work? Let's see if that works. All right, so let's run this again. Hey, Surly Dev. Is this gonna be a regular thing, streaming later on a Friday now? Yeah, I'm doing 3 to 5 p.m., so it's just basically the end of my week, the end of my day. And it's still hit or miss whether I have time to stream, because I've got other deadlines and stuff, but I'm trying to fit it in just because I have to spend some time keeping up with these open source projects that I have. All right, so now what we're trying to accomplish here is when this thing is blank, I don't have any model validation set up, right? I didn't put in a required attribute on the actual request object. So what I'm relying on is that when I call the service in here, right? So that's, where's the service? Lost the service. In the to-do item search service here, we're doing this check. We're saying if that thing is null, create some validation errors, give it a name of the search string and say search string is required, and return that list as part of the result, right? Rather than doing that in model validation. And it's up to you whether you want to do it in model validation or do it here. There's pros and cons. Anyway, let's see if it works. All right, I'm hoping I get that response back. And look at that. I got a 400 bad request, search string is required. So as long as I use the same name here that I used in my service, it should work. Not sure why that's lowercase. That's a little weird. Name of, ooh, that's why. Name of lowercase search string. Yeah, it's close enough. We'll leave that there. Okay, so we've got that working. Would there be a not found opportunity? What if I try to load up a project and it doesn't exist? Because that could happen, right? That would happen. Project spec, here's my project, and then I evaluate project.items. Well, if I try to load a project that doesn't exist, this is going to blow up right here. We should be able to see that if we just say, give me project 2, search string something. This should give me a 500 error. No, it didn't. That's interesting. So when I pass in a project ID of 2, which I don't think exists, just verify that one doesn't exist. Nope. All right. Then I get here and I say project ID, give me this thing, this project. This is going to return null, I thought. Oh, you know what? I try-catched it. That's why. That's why. And then I just throw the error. But what I'd like to do is have a not found. And Fadi just actually added that to Ardalis.result. So if we go look at that real quick. Do I have that open? Yeah, here's result. So in pull requests, in closed pull requests, we have, no, where is it? Wasn't it in here, Fadi? Are you still here? I thought you added not found to this. Was it just an issue and we didn't do it yet? It's in guard clauses. Oh, fine. Okay. So I'd have to have a guard clause that would then go into a result type. That's right. All right. Too many packages to keep straight. All right. So in github.com/ardalis/guard clauses, there is now, did we add it? We added it. Here, a pull request for not found. And when you call guard.against not found, it will check for null and do the right thing. So in our code, what we could do, if I want to make sure that this actually returns a not found when you don't find the project, instead of returning just an error, I could put a guard clause in here. Do I have guard clauses? I probably do. Yes. So I can say guard.against null, but that'll just blow up, which it's doing anyway, but that's okay. I really would like this to return a not found, and I don't really want it to blow up. So let's just do this. Let's just say if project equals null, return new result of list of, no, return a new result dot, is that how you do it? Or is it this? Return result dot not found. That's what I want. And then that's it, right? So why won't that work? Result of T requires a type argument. Return result of, that's fine, list of to do item dot not found. There we go. That works. Okay, so now this will return a not found. In the try catch, target the not found exception, return not found. Yeah, that would also work, but that would require an exception to be thrown. This is more efficient because it doesn't use the exception. But I could put in here, to do optionally use Ardalis.guard clauses guard against not found and catch like that. Okay, but in any case, this works, we hope. And what we should see is if we go back to here and we hit this with 20,000 project ID, instead of getting a 200, we get a 404, just like we planned, except that didn't work. So, why didn't that work? Let's debug it. I hate debugging, but let's do it. So we'll come in here, we're going to say, all right, here's our project, there's our breakpoint. Go find our, no, just hit F5, and go to Swagger. This is why I hate debugging, because it's so slow. Alright, so we're going to hit the API. We're going to go fetch incomplete project ID doesn't exist. Search string something, execute. We hit this, we step over it. The project is null. Okay, so we step over that, and step over that. And now we're here. It's not okay. It's not oh, that's why I didn't catch it. Duh. Alright. So, right. Let's go back to where my endpoint is. And we just have to have another else if. Now these else ifs are why we have the extension methods and things on result. But I haven't updated that package to work well with endpoints, and that's why we're seeing this nasty code here. There we go. That's what we needed. I'll catch up on the chat in just a minute, folks. We're going to try this one more time. And finally we get a not found. Alright, good. Now I would write some tests for that at some point. But what I really want to do is get that template updated. And the template doesn't care about the tests. So let me do a quick commit here. And this is actually, we're still just on main. I guess I could make a branch for this. That's probably a good idea. So let's make a branch, new branch. Ardalis, search endpoint, create, add search endpoint. I guess that's good enough. Commit, push, create the thing. Cool. Okay. So Hassam Kal says, I really do enjoy your guard clauses library, sir. Thank you. Thanks for creating it. Meanwhile, I wonder if it is too much trouble to give a quick summary of each layer in the source folder. And is this your project structure for all sorts of projects? You bet. So this template, this clean architecture solution that I'm working on. And you'll find there's a few other recent, this is not the browser that has all the things, is it? Where's the other browser? Here we go. So you'll find a few recent streams on my YouTube. If you go to github.com, or sorry, youtube.com/Ardalis, you'll see I've been streaming about making these updates a little bit. Hey Justin, good night. And so it's basically meant to be a solution template. And what does that mean? Well, normally in Visual Studio, when you say create a template, or create a project rather, you're creating one project. And there isn't a whole lot of help in Visual Studio for you to create a solution that's actually organized the right way. And so what this is doing is it's creating an architecture for you out of the box that is structured properly for clean architecture, or if you prefer, onion architecture, ports and adapters, hexagonal, whichever one of those. And it's ideal for building things in a domain-driven, solid, principles-driven way. And so if we look at the actual pieces that are in it, the first thing to look at is, at a high level, is the project organization that it gives you. So basically everything is in two sections here. There's source, which is where your production code lives, and then there's tests, which is where your tests live. The production code is basically 3 projects that your solution should keep, and that is your core, your infrastructure, and then your front end. And one project that you should pull out of this solution and put into its own Nuget package, and that's this shared kernel. So these things are going to be common to any application you might build using this approach. And so you would pull this out, put it into a separate Nuget package, host it on your own local Nuget server, and then the core and other projects would depend on that Nuget package. You don't have to do that if you only have one application. You can just keep it here, but that's the idea. That's why it's called shared. Okay, so then what goes in core? Well, inside core should be all of your domain model. And so if you follow domain-driven design, your domain model is going to consist of things like entities, value objects, aggregates, domain events, handlers, domain services, maybe some factories, interfaces for abstractions for how to do things. All that stuff lives in here. What's not going to be in core? Well, there aren't going to be any dependencies on things that are infrastructure concerns or out of process things, right? You want to talk to a file system, you want to log something to a file. Sorry, that doesn't go in core because that knows about talking to the file system. You want to talk to a database? That doesn't belong in core either. Anything that's out of your project, that's out of process for this app, should not have a dependency from core. And so you see here that this thing has minimal dependencies. Autofac is purely in memory as a dependency injection container. Mediator is purely in memory. Neither one of those has any dependencies on infrastructure stuff, and neither do these projects here from me. So then what's in infrastructure? Well, if you look at its dependencies, you can see that it knows about stuff like Entity Framework Core, like SQL Server, like SQLite. And if we were talking to email, it might know about something like SendGrid or some SMTP service that you're using. It might know about the file system. There could be stuff in here that talks to the file system. There's an email sender here that actually talks to SMTP client. It doesn't need to have a Nuget package for it, but you can see this is where that code lives because it talks to out-of-process things like an SMTP server. And then, of course, in your web project, that's where all your web stuff goes. So this has Swashbuckle and ASP.NET Core things and stuff like that. All right, so that's the breakdown. In here, all of my model for this template is inside this project aggregate. If you use this as a template for your solution, you're probably going to throw away this stuff, right? Because you aren't going to have a project with to-do items. That's not what you're building. But it's in here just so you can kind of see how it's organized. So you can see like, okay, well, for my thing, I'm actually building a blog or I'm actually building an e-commerce app. Okay, well, maybe you have a blog aggregate or a shopping cart aggregate. And in there you have the things that make up that aggregate, like the aggregate root, which is an entity, but it's also marked as an aggregate root. And then the various children of it, like to-do item, which is an entity, yes, but it's not an aggregate root. It belongs to a project. And so that's why project has a list of those to-do items, but it doesn't have the actual, the to-do items themselves don't have an aggregate root. The only way you work with them is through their aggregate, through a project. All right, so there's been a few questions. Let me catch up on this. Hello, Steve, a question on clean architecture. The services of service workers in the background. What would be the best way to integrate them? There's a couple ways. One thing that I like in ASP.NET Core apps now is that you can actually have a hosted service that runs inside the application. You can look for the docs on that, but I can show you an example of one right now. Inside of the Pluralsight course that I'm wrapping up now, I have an example of this that I was just looking at right here. Let me pull this on the screen for you. So this thing here, let's just close all but this. This is a background service. And so background service is a type that you get out of the box in .NET Core 2.2 maybe, somewhere like that. And to set this up, you simply wire it up in configure services. And so in configure services somewhere, right about here, you say add a hosted service for this background service. And then it will do all the things it needs to work. So when you implement that base type for this one, this background service, that gives you some overrides. So here's a bunch of things that I'm overriding. Really, it's just this one. Execute async. So it gives you this execute async method that you're going to run, and it calls that periodically. So you don't have to worry about creating a timer or anything like that. and you do whatever work you want to do in here. In this case, this thing is listening to a queue and consuming messages. And then you can dispose of all the things that your hosted service uses. So that's a hosted service that belongs in the same app that you're running. Let's say that you have a totally separate process. You don't want it to be part of this app. When this app crashes, you want your worker service to still run. Okay, well, that's a different thing. And so for a worker service, you can create that as its own thing. And I've actually got another GitHub repo for that. So if you go to github.com/Ardalis and search in here under repositories for worker, you'll see there's a clean architecture worker service. And this is the same architecture that we're talking about here. But if we look at the difference and we see the worker here, the program.cs for this thing just builds a host and does all the work in here to build the host, and then runs the host, which has the worker in it. So somewhere in here, it wires up the worker right here, add hosted service. Same thing, right? It's still a hosted service, just like we've got in that other app I just showed you. But you can have a hosted service can be a standalone, like this one is, or it could be part of an ASP.NET Core web app. Because remember, an ASP.NET Core web app really is just a console app, right? That's what they are. So you can use this console app if you just wanted to do just the hosted service, but you can also put your hosted service in your web app if you want to. And then if you look at the hosted service itself, again, this is a template, so it doesn't really have a whole lot to it. I think it just prints out something every time it's called. So there's the worker, and it says, hey, I'm running, right? Entry point service execute. So what that entry point service does is probably here, maybe, I don't know. Somewhere there's a service and it just spits out hello world or something. But it kind of shows you how this stuff would be set up. So entry point service right there, blah, blah, blah. And it just says something, I don't know, log stuff. Service is running at this time there. And it sends a message. All right, so those worker services. Question, got it. Okay. Wicken says, is it an approach you'd like, professionally speaking? I mean, personally, I like to have nice implementation of middleware and have custom domain exceptions that controls the HTTP status code. He's talking about the try-catch stuff, so I'll let Viceni answer that, which he is. And then Brainwash, you're asking, can we log stuff inside Core? Absolutely. There's nothing to say you can't log stuff, but what you don't want to do is have a dependency on some type of logger that talks to the file system, right? So I wouldn't want to have inside of, let's say this to-do item search service. I really want to log stuff because I want to see what it's doing, because there's a lot of stuff going on here, right? There's nothing to prevent me up here from saying, hey, I want to have an ilogger logger, right? Or an ilogger of T, which is usually how you do it these days, of to-item search service, like that, of logger. But what is ilogger? Well, ilogger doesn't exist right now. That might be something I would put in shared kernel under interfaces, and I don't have that now, but I could add it. And then I would just give that some abstraction, right? I'd have ilogger.log or log information or whatever I want it to support. Now, there is a built-in ilogger in ASP.NET Core. I'm not going to take a dependency on that here, even though it's an abstraction, because I don't want my domain model to be tightly coupled to ASP.NET Core's logger. And it's trivial. It's super trivial to take your own interface for ilogger of T and then map it to an ASP.NET Core logger of T if that's what you want. And that adapter, that logger adapter that would use ASP.NET Core, would just live inside of infrastructure. And then you would wire that up in your startup so it would do the right thing. Right? So it's not a problem to log. The problem is to have the dependency on the implementation details of the logger. I would tend to avoid newing up a logger or using a specific logger in Core, like Sarilog or Nlog or whatever you use, unless you're sure you're never ever going to change that. In which case, it probably doesn't hurt anything too much to take that dependency. And in any case, maybe then you put your Sarilog stuff, its configuration, in a shared kernel library, so that all your projects use the same Sarilog settings and syncs and things like that. Let's see. Thank you, sir. Sorry for making too much trouble. I'll make sure to create some of my future projects using this simple architecture. Cool. Awesome. Hope it's helpful. It's going to be even easier to use in a minute, though, and when you finish updating that template. So where we stand now, we have added this implementation of the to-do item search service. So I can make a pull request for that right now. Let's see if I added any changes. I don't think so. Let's create a pull request. So I'm not signed in here. Let me jump to a window where I am signed in. And it looks like that. And we'll just pull this up here. We say add the search endpoint, and it's fixing. Let's go use this one where we've got it. There's an issue number 166, right? So we're going to say that this fixes number 166, and that will automatically close that issue for me when I merge this thing. So we're going to create the pull request, and from main, search endpoint, it's going to run my build. And if that works, then we will commit it. And I'm going to actually let this build run and pass before I pull it in. So if anybody has any other questions they want to ask real quick, now would be a good time. Sam says, I am familiar with DDD, that's good. And then my bot jumped in and said, hey, I've got a course on that. That's good. 05K4R says, thanks, good. Yeah, those hosted services are nice. Any other questions? Meanwhile, the builds are running. These are all code QL. I don't care about those. This is the one I care about. So this is running our build, and it's running a test right now. Pass 6. Pass 3. Good to go. Good to go. All right. So green check mark means we're all set. Back to the code. That's not what I wanted. Back to this code, I guess. All right, so I don't care if that one passes, so we're going to go ahead and merge this and confirm. And we're done. We can delete that branch. Now, at that point, we are going to take, Wicken says, the only reason I like the approach. All right, cool. At that point, we are going to take the other issue. Let's go to our issues. So that one disappeared, right? I didn't have to close it. It's a nice thing about GitHub. If you reference that other issue, it'll close it for you. I don't even have an issue for the thing I want to do next, though. Do I? To publish. Oh, yeah, this is the one I want. Okay. So I want to build my template automatically every time I make a change so that it gets updated. And so info on building templates. I did this last time I was looking at this 2 weeks ago. And so here's how I create the template, and it has this file here where I specify what stuff looks like and create this package. I already did this once, so I must have the thing somewhere. And then in here, I need to update the publish to do not just a publish of, no, this is the right thing, isn't it? Oh, that's the specification one. Right, I need to steal this from the specification one and put it into the clean architecture one. All right, so let's get rid of that. Let's see. Example, Nuget publish, right. Okay, so do I in fact have this specification nupkeg file? I thought I did. Let's go look at the source and see where that would be. Guess we go to File Explorer and look around. Alright, so here's File Explorer, here's Clean Architecture, and there's my new spec file from 212. That sounds right. Let's just, I guess Notepad is fine. What is in there? Hey, that's what I want. Alright, so I want this new spec file, which is currently version 1.0. I want to update this to whatever version I decide I want to call this thing. And I kind of want to tie it to the .NET version at this point. So maybe this will be 5.0 or 5.03 or whatever .NET is to make that clear. And then I want to say if this thing changes, then I want to rebuild. All right, so let's test this out. Let's say we're going to make this 5.0 because why not? And description is that, and release notes is Initially, let's do. What did we do? I guess we refactored to use aggregate, design pattern, and organization. That's probably enough. Alright, so there's my update to the new spec file. We can go ahead and push that out. We'll just do it to main, update new spec file in preparation for updating template. Commit. Alright, and push. Alright, now there is no publish step in my actions. Alright, so in my GitHub actions, all I have is .NET Core and this CodeQL thing. So what I want to do is either add to the .NET Core one, or update and add another whole action, like a publish action, which I've done before. It's better to have just the one action though. So in my workflow for .NET Core, currently it looks like this. Make this a little bigger. So on this push to main or on a pull request, we're going to run this. And that's the main reason why I create a separate publish one, is because I can name it publish, and I can say it only happens on pushes to main, not the other one. There's ways to do it all in one and make it do the right thing, but I think I'm going to go ahead and do it the way I'm used to and have two, and then we'll worry about merging them later. So let's create a new one over here, and we can, I gotta log in, so where's my other browser window? This one, no, yes, it's just down here. Here we go. Alright, so in clean architecture, in .github workflows, we can add a file, create a new file, we'll call it publish.yaml, and then we'll go steal the one that I linked to in the issue, which was this one. And we'll just view the raw file and copy it and bring it in here. And then we just want to update it. So we only want it to happen on main for my default. Publish Ardalis dot clean architecture template. And is that what that's called? Ardalis dot clean architecture dot template. All right, that's right. So template to Nuget. Paths, anything under there? No. The only path I ever want to do is specifically that new spec file, which was right in the root, as I recall. So it's clean architecture dot new spec. So I only want it to do that. If I change that, then it should update. And the only time I'm going to change that is when I decide to update the actual new spec. All right, so check out, get ready to run .NET, which I guess I'm assuming I still need. What .NET version should I run? Well, probably the same one I'm using for my other workflow. So here, this one's using 50201, so let's do that. No. Where'd it go? This one. So 50201. Alright, now publish on version change. What am I publishing? Project file, path. I just want the nupkeg. Instead of the project file path, is there a, let's see, let's look for this thing. How do I do this with a template? Publish, Nuget, use this, GitHub action, usage, package name. Is there a new spec option here? Nuget source. I wonder if the project file can be the new spec file. I think that might be what I want. So it's this at that point, right? So we just have to hope that this will work. Okay. Version, tag, format. Sure, that all sounds fine. All right, so this looks like it might work. There's nothing in here still that says specification, so I think I'm close. So let's go ahead and create this thing. And if we look at our actions, it might even run it. I created publish. It's running all the other ones, but it's not running that. Never been run. Can I kick it off? There's no way to kick it off here, is there? Run it. Ooh, status badge. I like status badges. Give me one of those. And we'll go over here. Let's create our little badge. Badges are cool. Publish this to Nuget. Yep, do that, do that, do that. I don't really want to look at the workflow. I want to look at the Nuget package. So let's go to Nuget one more time. I want to go there. When you click on this thing, I think. Or maybe I just want to put it, I need a Nuget thing here. There's badges for this, which I'll get in a minute, but do that. Nuget. Okay, so we'll fix that up later, but let's commit it. And then let's see if we can trigger the build. There's all that. Working on that. I guess I can just tweak this thing right from here. It says it was changed 5 months ago. Didn't I push that change? That's why it's not building. Solution items. Let's see if we can add it here. I thought I saved it. Yeah, there it is, 5.0, right? Oh, but we're still in the search endpoint, that's why. Hate it when I do that. Let's go back to main. So we're going to copy this thing, go back to main, which is going to lose my changes. It doesn't like that for some reason. I don't see a dialog. Alright, I'm on main. And I can do a Control A, Control Paste. There we go. Save, and then let's push it to the right place this time. What did this do? Oh, right, because I added that solution. Okay. Update new spec for that. Commit and push. Alright, now if that worked, we should be able to come back to here, look at our actions, and the publish ought to kick off. Except I think I might have screwed up publish. Path. Will it work with just that path as a specific string? I thought it would. You still never run. Alright, anybody know why my trigger isn't triggering? I recognize my path doesn't have any stars in it like it usually does. Did I switch it? No, that's main. That's main. So I'm in main. My path is specifically this one exact file, which is there. It's right there. on main, and there's a new spec file, capital C, capital A, capital C, capital A, dot new spec. Do I need a slash in front of it? Click the yellow circle. It's other stuff, right? It's other stuff building. Loka samasta sukino bhavantu. Looks like it's built. Yeah, it is. It's the other ones. So why you no find my thing? I feel like this has to be the problem, right? Because the branch is correct. Now I know when this runs, it's actually going to blow up because I don't have a secret Nuget key, but I haven't gotten there yet. I want to get to that error so I can fix it. Here, nothing. Let's just make it a little more broad. So how about star.newspec? Maybe that would be good enough. That won't work either. Star, let's try this. Star.newspec. See what that does. Commit. Okay, so anything .newspec changes anywhere should kick off this build. Still nothing. It can't be that this thing is just sucking up all my like bots or something, and I can't do any more bots until this one's done. I hope, because that'll annoy me. I really don't care about all these things. Maybe I can change CodeQL to be like, don't worry about the README updates. Yeah, I don't know how I can shrink this down. I think you have to make changes to the new spec, right? I agree with you. So let's try that. That's not the new spec. That's the new spec. Edit. Initial release. Oh, this is the old one. Why is the old one still there? What's going on? Alright. Pull and push. That's where that dialogue was. Alright. I swear that wasn't there before. Or I was just blind and didn't see it. Okay, now we actually updated the stupid thing. Now, if we refresh this, now we see it's 5.0. Alright, that's good. And is the publish going to run? Publish. Hey, it's running. Sweet. Okay, now this should blow up because I don't have a Nuget secret. But I'll work on that in my other window while this is doing its thing. Boom. It blew up. And it said, hey, guess what? I couldn't extract version info. Oh, alright, that's different. Why couldn't you extract version info? Maybe you don't like a new spec file instead of a csproj file. That'll be unfortunate. Alright, so in here, here's this version regex that tries to get the version and let's see, the actual new spec has no version. It has a lowercase version. Is that it? Am I looking for uppercase version? That's silly. I guess we'll just make it lowercase. I could change the other one, but or I could make it match it with a case insensitive V or V. But for now, lowercase v should match. So let's commit that and see what that does. Now, can I tell this thing to kick off again? I should. Now that it's run once, I should be able to tell it, hey, do your thing again. Rerun all the jobs. Okay, so it should give me a different error. And I can sign into Nuget in my other window. And I can go get a secret key. Like create a secret key. Ooh, I already have a secret key. No, I don't. No, I don't. There's that. That. Create. Copy. Alright, now I've got a secret key. This thing's still blowing up. But that was expected. Still can't extract the version info. Why is that still capitalized? Oh, because when I said rerun, it ran the same stupid one that it ran before. Okay. And it did not, would not, could not run it a different way. Brainwashed asks, if the tooling was available and just as good, would you switch from Windows to Linux? I mean, maybe. I mean, if the tooling was available and just as good, and you're saying it's not any better, why would I waste time switching if it wasn't better? I mean, arguably, Linux is already better for a lot of things, but it doesn't have all the apps, right? It's like what killed Windows Phone. Windows Phone didn't have the apps. Everybody built everything for iOS and Android, so they won. Linux, it doesn't have all the things that Windows has. It's certainly not as many or as quickly. Right, like that's an app, exactly. Currently the tooling is not better because there's no Visual Studio. I mean, VS Code is awesome. I spend a lot of time in VS Code. I could be doing all this that we're showing right now in VS Code. But I am more productive in Visual Studio generally, so that's why I like that. Retro, hey, how's it going? But when I'm talking about, not having all the apps, like one of the apps it doesn't have is Visual Studio, like full version. So I agree. All right, now in my clipboard, I have this setting that I need. So let's go make this thing run one more time. I do want to get it to the point where it actually shows me the error I expect. So let's do no crawler template for a solution using clean architecture. There. Commit. All right, ... That's a fabulous new update, but it should trigger this publish, and it is. So there's our publish. Meanwhile, we're going to open up settings. We're going to go to our secret keys here. And we're going to add a new secret. And our secret name is Nuget API key. And our secret value is, well, secret. So we add that secret. And then we move this back up here where you can no longer see it. And that should work. So if we come back here, it's green. It's green. What does that mean? That's not it. All right, where's the one I actually did? What I named this? This was 5, but I'm not logged in, so it doesn't see it. So here it is. Let's bring it up in a window where I'm logged in, and I don't see it there either. When it works, it should show it there, and it should say pending. Let's follow this. Publish. Found new version. Warning, Nuget key not given. Oh, I was too slow. That's the problem. So why was it green? It shouldn't be green if I didn't have the key. Silly. Yeah, that should have blown up. That shouldn't be a warning. That should blow up. Nuget _ key not given. Is that not what I called it? Let me verify. So in here, GitHub, workflow, publish, Nuget API key is the Nuget key, right? And I came into settings, secrets, Nuget API key, that's right, okay. So I think I just have to touch it one more time. And then we will see. I'm going to get rid of these ellipses that I just added. Like that, and commit. Go to actions, go to publish. Wait for the publish. See if it turns green for real this time. Retro says, hey, what are you working on? I am working on clean architecture, which I was going to work on a number of things potentially today, but this ended up taking up all my time. And so clean architecture is a solution template. It didn't work. it's a solution template that you can use to start your solutions that you're building in .NET 5. And so you can just say .NET new, and then use this template, and it looks something like this when it works. Like this, .NET new clean arc -o your project name, and it'll be like, bam, here you go, solution ready to go. And you'll have your namespace, right? Like it shows right here in this thing. You say, hey, I'm not Ardalis. I work for Acme, and I'm working on a cool project. Well, here, it'll create Acme.cool project with the solution, and all the namespaces and everything will be just what you want. So it's easy way to get you started. But the part I'm working on right now is continuous integration with publishing the template itself. What does template config do? Do I need this? That looks important. Hopefully that's referenced from this new spec file. I don't see it, but maybe it knows. I'm not an expert at making these templates. I did read the docs once, but it wasn't today. So when this template gets created, what does it produce? Let's go find that documentation again. So I don't need that, I don't need that, I don't need that. I do want to keep this because I'm logged into this one. And here we go. Here's the template documentation, right? So .NET templates, you can list them out, you can add files and stuff to them, create a configuration file. That's that template.json that I just looked at that I have. You can create this thing here and put the stuff in it. Template JSON looks like this. Okay, I've got that. Packing a template into a nupkeg file. You have to, custom template is packed. You can use with Nuget Pack command along with a new spec file. However, Nuget requires .NET Framework on Windows. Okay. CS project file is slightly different from a traditional because it has a package type. What CS project file? The CS project file. I don't have a CS project file. I just have that new spec file. Right? Here's my new spec file. Here's where it says package type template. Do I need to just make this a project file? That doesn't make any sense. So maybe what I need to do is a Nuget Pack task inside my build. Because I think that's what I did the first time I made this. So what I need is GitHub action Nuget Pack, which needs to be on Windows probably. Nuget packages, pack build public, publish. So there's publish on Ubuntu, publish. This is what I'm using already. That's not helpful. It doesn't show me how to do a Nuget Pack. Set up Nuget exe use with actions. Alright, yeah, that's kind of what I want. So get Nuget with whatever version, and then run Nuget restore. I want to run Nuget Pack. So I think that's what I want. So I want something like this. Alright, so I could say uses setup Nuget version 5.x. Let's try this. And so we're going to go to my code. This is always the hardest part, is getting these Nuget actions to work. Show me the code. View the code, go to GitHub, workflow, publish, Alright, I want to edit this. I guess I can't show these side by side very effectively. So I want that pencil icon. Alright, setup.net. I'm not even sure I need .NET, but I think I need to be on Windows. So let's just make this Windows latest. So I can get Nuget and setup.net, that's fine. All right, get Nuget, get dotnet, and then I want to run this Nuget Pack command somewhere in here. It doesn't like just run, so it needs to be a named thing, I guess. So it should be name package the template, which means I don't need, or it likes that better. If, okay, now I don't actually want to do a NuGet restore, I want to do a NuGet pack. And where was that? Custom templates. Here's the thing. It says do this, do that, and then nothing for Nuget Pack. Nuget Pack. There we go. So alright, so Nuget can be used with Nuget Pack along with the NuSpec file. Nuget requires .NET Framework and Windows. On Windows, okay. Or Mono on Linux, but that's fine. I'm going to use Windows, and we'll try and make this work. So Nuget Pack, and I just need the NuSpec file name, right? That's star.nuspec. I don't think that needs to be star.nuspec anymore. That could be the actual file name. So let's grab that. That. Okay, now that's going to produce something, some nupkeg file somewhere. There's my project file path. Does this thing tell me what the package name will be called? Title. Yeah, it gotta be one of these, right? .nupkeg, and if that gets generated into root, then it should pick it up. So let's try it. Commit. Add Nuget Pack on Windows. Commit. Why the people are not spamming your chat? I don't know. Argentino Geek. I assume you mean spamming it with questions and discussion, not actual spam, because I hate having to ban the bots that come in here and try and add links to crap. All right, let's try this. Action, publish, not there. Gotta go change the code again. In here, edit this, core template. We'll keep just adding ellipses. Commit, actions, publish, kickoff. Did I really need it to be star.nuspec? Is that really required? Yeah, okay, that's what I thought you meant. Surly Dev's like, we're being respectful and paying attention. Sure. Mention in the chat if you're actually not multitasking and doing something else right now. I'll be amazed. Alright, so this still isn't picking it up. That's weird. I gotta do that star.nuspec that I had before. That's crazy. Don't know why this has to be. Oh crap. Look at that. That's what it is. Right there. That's what it is. I screwed that up. And nobody who was watching noticed. Some pair programmer partners you turned out to be. Well, I'm playing Grand Theft Auto, right? That's why I figured. All right, I don't watch streams and pay full attention. I don't expect anybody else to. All right, let's go get rid of these dots one more time. People are gonna love my Git history on here. And that's the problem with CI testing is like you just constantly are having to poke things to see if your build kicks off. It's running. All right, so it detected the change without using star and without using .nuspec, which is good. Argentino Geek is configuring his overlays. Other people are caught multitasking. Alright, that was cool. It did something. Installed Nuget. I'm still not sure I need to install dotnet, honestly, for this one. So I can probably speed this up if I drop that. I think all I need is Nuget. But I want to see if this works first before I remove it. So what are you configuring overlays for? For your own Twitch stream? Argentino Geek? Going live in an hour. Nice. You can see I've got a ton of overlays and fancy things on my stream. Clivar says I would squash those commits and push force.xd. I don't want people to see my clunkiness in CI/CD. Look at that. It's so close. Alright, so why did this say file does not exist, nipkeg? Let's see what happens when I run that action locally. Alright, so alright, here we are, local. Get the latest. Alright, so now we're on clean architecture .nuspec. We're going to say Nuget. Does that exist? It does. So one more time. We're going to say Nuget Pack clean architecture .nuspec. What does that do? I'm betting it creates one of these guys because that's what it did before. So warning, git ignore was not added, that's fine. Warning was not added, that's fine. But look what it did create. It created this one right here in the root. So the question is why in my build is that not finding it? So error element package is unrecognized or supported in this context. It literally just ran this locally. It ran fine. But now it's .NET 5. Did I tell it to run something in .NET 5? I don't think I did. Let's go look at this thing one more time. It's after 5 o'clock here. I'm supposed to be done. No, publish. Alright, so my actions are check out, set up Nuget, install .NET, which I don't think I need, package the thing. So which one blew up, right? It was set up Nuget was fine, package the thing was fine, publish blew up. So publish said project file path, clean architecture, new spec, okay. Version, it found 5.0. Package name is clean architecture. Why do you think that's the package name? That's not the package name. Then you try and install. No, you're not trying to install. You run .NET build. Why are you trying to build? That's not your job. All I want you to do is push the thing to NuGet. Silly thing. Where was that? No. Alright, let's see. GitHub, action, push to NuGet, publish NuGet. Alright, that's the one I'm looking at. That's this one. Build pack publish. All I want you to do is push the thing there. Project file. Is there an option that says don't bother building the thing? Version path, version regex, version static, NuGet key, NuGet source, include symbols, options. Argentino Geek, thanks for the kind words, I appreciate it. Alright, why does this thing want to build? I don't want you to build this, I just want you to pack it and send it. And I know I've seen other ways to push things to NuGet from a GitHub action. that don't use this thing. So I'm pretty sure I don't need .NET. So let's get rid of that and speed this build up a little bit. So yank this out. Right, that can go. And start a commit, remove .NET, install, commit. Okay. Now publish on version change, and I give you the project file, but I don't tell you to build it. You're building it anyway. There's got to be another way to do publish to Nuget. And here's a whole list of them. Use GitHub Actions, publish Nuget, use this workflow. Please tell me it's not the same one. Branded Outcast, is that the same one? I think it might be. Let's see, let me just be a little more specific. GitHub Action, publish, template, new spec to Nuget. Creating and publishing Nuget packages, actions, Nuget, Trying to override the package name property. The doc says the defaults to project name may be associated with CS project new spec. Yeah, the problem I think is that's trying to build it. I don't think you build a new spec. Can I do a, like it's doing this, .NET, build, clean architecture, new spec. And it says boom. That doesn't work. So that's its issue. I don't think it was the name that was the issue. So I'm going to create this template. Okay, create a template pack. And done it new, did all this, did all that, build it, install it, uninstall it. Now deploy it using a GitHub action. That's what I want. It's not there. Oh, okay. Create a new spec. Yeah, that's what I want. Did that. Okay. Pack it. Did that. Okay. Publish it. Boom. That's all I need. Maybe. Let's try that. Maybe it's that simple. Let's come back here. Let's skip this whole publish. Publishing on version change would be. I guess I'm going to publish it every time I change this thing, so that's fine. So instead of publish on version change, I'm going to do it myself. We're going to say here, publish to Nuget.org. And we're going to say run that. Nuget push my package, which should be, oh, I need the name, I need the version number. How do I get the version out of there? Well, that's why I was using this thing, because it did it for me. Right, because it's not going to have that simple, nice name. It's going to have a name that looks like this. Clean architecture, template, dot, version, dot, okay. Can I give it a star path, I wonder? Publish all the things, because it's only going to have one, because it's only packed one thing. So I'm going to tell it to do this. Let's see if this works. Dot star dot okay dash s server address. Is it Nuget.org or is it the full path? It's got to be the full path. So what is my tools, Nuget, package manager, settings, source, Nuget.org. Use that path. So there's that, which I could make a variable if I wanted to, and then the secret key I think is what it wants for that security token. Take that. And then this whole thing, I wish there were an easy way to Control K, C, comment, but there's not. So I guess I can delete it because it's in source control, and that's what source control is for. So let's just do that. All right, let's see if this works. I am 10% confident. Right, now that's not actually going to run it just yet, because I have to go touch the new spec file. Right. It's gonna work. Okay. Package it. See if the publish works. Error. Ambiguous something. What was your problem? Ambiguous option S. New pig. So I said Nuget push -s thing, and then there's my secret, and it says possible values are all these things. Nuget commands ambiguous option S. I got it right from here. So this was a fix, and what do you guys do to fix it? Source? It must be -source. Let's just bring it up here. And what am I doing? Push? Yeah, Nuget push. So if I do Nuget push, you're going to tell me source. Is that what I want? -source, package source, or SRC. So I guess I just need to say -SRC. Alright. Alright, so in here, one more time. -SRC, commit, go back here, edit this, edit that, save the thing, go to actions, watch the publish, see if it works. Apparently it's -source, yeah. Well, it doesn't help that this gist that I'm looking at with the -s was from 2016 or something. Thought I saw, oh, it's only 7 months ago. Oh, he was active 7 months ago. I thought I saw somewhere in here that was old. It says copyright 2016, maybe that's what I saw. But this was old. In fact, we'll leave a comment here. Blink. That might help somebody else. That's green. Did it really let my star go through? Pushing 5.0. Oh, that worked. Nice. Package was pushed. Alright, where's my window? Is it this one? No. 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 Nuget.org. Guess we'll just go there again. I think I have this open somewhere already, but that's not quite enough. Need my name. And there it is, validating. Alright, so it'll be available for everybody soon. Like usually really soon. Still validating. Alright, so if I go back here, and we go back here, we're going to test this out. That actually passed. That's cool. I need a new badge for that. I'll work on that. But down here, if you do this, it'll install the appropriate version. So let's go back to my thing here and paste that in. And what did it just do? Invalid argument. What? What did I paste? I thought I copied this. Copy that. And go to my scratch folder. Paste that. See what we get. There we go. So what version did you install? That's what I want to know. Is there a way to know that? So you can specify the version like that. Current version doesn't display, right? So you can say .NET new -u. That's interesting. Or debug show config. Let's try the -u thing. Look at all that stuff. Now I can pipe that down to something that just pulls out Ardalis, but my PowerShell foo is not that good. So let's just scroll and see if we can find mine, which I didn't see. I'm going to do a -u and then a filter. Clean arc ought to be in here somewhere. It was the last one, was it? Oh, because I installed them in order. Well, thank you for watching. There we go. Thank you. Alright, so it's version 101. Alright, so when this thing stops saying that and says listed, which it now says, so it's there, then this thing, when I paste in that, should install version 5, and it doesn't tell me if it did or not. And this should say that I have version 5, which it doesn't. How do I update it? How to update a .NET CLI template, because you're clearly not doing it. I think it's uninstall, reinstall. Install newer version directly. When installing it, if there's already installed, the template being overwrites the one. No, it doesn't. You lie. I just did it. It didn't work. For me, it doesn't overwrite, but it does install it as a new one. You see the same package twice, so that's not good. Do I get that? Let's see. Was it there twice? Ardalis template. Old version. Different one. Different one. Didn't see it anywhere else, right? It's all other things. Nothing Ardalis, nothing Ardalis. Yeah. Okay. So seems to be installs the package from local Nuget cache. Okay. Combination of following lines. That's interesting. I'm sure it's in my local Nuget cache, so I have to do that. Or you can specify the version using : version. Alright, let's see. Finish scrolling to the bottom of this, see if there's anything better. You have to do wipe the cache. If I uninstall, then clear, then install, then it installs the right version. That's really annoying. This is a really long thread. Dash dash update apply. Is that actually a thing? It'd be nice if we just had a dash dash update. Yeah, yeah. This will be delivered in 2592. Okay. Was it though? 14 days ago it was closed. We implemented a check. Now the update information is available immediately via dash dash update check and dash dash update apply. Also, it's forced to not use the cache, so we don't have to worry about that closing. All right, so dash dash update dash apply, maybe? As of 2 weeks ago? That. Dash dash update dash apply. Is that a thing? No updates found. Lie. All right, what was the other option? Update check? I think it called update check. I think that's where it got the no updates found error. Okay. Well, what if we try that other stuff that they were doing up there? Where they nuke the cache. Maybe I don't have the latest version of .NET New. Or of Nuget, right? So I have version 503 preview. I don't know, what's the latest version of .NET SDK? 5.0. 5.02 what? 2.02, which is the one I'm running on a server. Go, 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 go. Done. All right. Just for the heck of it, let's run this. I think I might have it installed already. I don't know why I got this preview one showing up. Yeah, it says it's already there. Interesting. Yes. Alright, well let's just do the cache nuke workaround that was supposed to work before. So that was this. So then we'll wrap it up for today. So we come in here, paste that, clear the cache, then try and install the template without the update check. That should get me the latest version. Then we run the other one there, and it should say, hey, it's 5.0, and it does. That's awesome. And then we say .NET new, well, let's go to we run that, but we want it with the project name, so we want that. All right, so new clean dash arc dash o twitch dot April 2021. Bam. Let's see if this works. Created successfully. CD Twitch. And let's open it up in code. And look at this. Twitch core. We've got a project aggregate. We've got all the stuff. Let's go to our terminal. Twitch, web, done it run, and I'll bet it's gonna work. Fadi says the template name seems to be different. Did I change the name of the template? I didn't think I did. 57679 is where it's running at now, so 57679. It looks like it mostly worked. For some reason it was going to a URL that didn't exist, but this is it. Twitch, April 21, the template worked. We can go here, we can get our projects, the list of projects, try it out, run it. It's got a test project, so the template works. Alright, so your homework is to install this template and get it to work for you. So all you gotta do, if you haven't installed it before, is run this line right here, .NET new -I Ardalis clean architecture template, and then you should get this 5.0 version, and you should be able to create new clean architectures with that. And that's it. So I just need to clean up a couple issues and call it a day. So in here, this, let's see, I don't have anything here I need to worry about. I have an issue, publish template, this works. It's not 29 anymore. 30 April 21 on YouTube to see how we did it. Close. Cool. And I should probably include this. Fadi, you were saying that the template name changed, but it was always Ardalis Clean Architecture template, so I'm not sure what changed. This is the same, this is the same. What do you think was off? Is it the new spec file was different? The name of the new spec file? I mean, that's what I used before, I'm pretty sure. But maybe the new spec should be ardalis.cleanarchitecture.template also? Or you're saying, my bad, maybe not, okay. Well, it seems to be good now, so we can get out of there. Everything looks good here. It still has 0 downloads, that's cache, it doesn't update very often. But hopefully more than just me will actually install it. And it's actually pretty good, almost 1,000 people installed the previous one. So that's helpful. Let's get this out of here. And I think I want to keep a reference to this so I can show, let's see, if folks want to update their version, this might be helpful. And comment. And it's on a closed issue, but I'll go find it if I need it. And I think we're good. So we made a lot of progress today on clean architecture stuff. Just ignore you. I never ignore you. You're usually right. Let's call it done. The last few days I haven't had much luck in finding someone to raid. The last few weeks or the last few times I've tried to do this. Let me see if there's anybody on .NET Coders, or Live Coders rather. Usually this ends up immediately playing sound. It's muted today, that's nice. Coding Garden has 2,500 people watching what they're doing. That is insane. I have 29. I appreciate every one of you. Most of these people I don't know. The other day, somebody pointed out to me that Visual Studio was actually doing stuff while I was on, and that doesn't seem to be the case right now. They're offline. So everybody I follow that's a dev is offline. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and just wrap it up. I'm not going to ship you off to somebody that I don't necessarily know. But thanks for hanging out this afternoon. Have a good weekend. I'll talk to you later. Bye.